Hey everybody, it's Harrison from Breakthrough Couples. Today I want to talk to you about checking in versus a checklist. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're shopping for a partner, when you're dating, when you're considering being with someone, when you're engaged, when you're in between relationships, when you're just finishing a relationship, or when you're inside of a relationship that's not going so well, and you want to understand, how did I get into this? And how did we wind up together? And are we good for each other? So, if you're fortunate at this point enough not to be in a relationship for this video, then you can think about the check in versus the checklist. If you've already made a decision and you're inside of a relationship, it's not too late to think about how you got there and whether or not it was more of a checklist or more of a check-in. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in a minute. But this is a major contributor to how and why we select partners. Okay? So, a checklist. What do our parents teach us about relationships? What did they model for us? Who were your original models for relationship? There's probably some similarity within your choosing mechanism that slipped under your radar in terms of your parents' values inside of you. Okay? Um, and it might be overt instead of covert. They might be telling you what kind of man or what kind of woman or who they think you would be best suited with, right? They could actually be very clear about that. Then, of course, there's culture. And that's a big one. You get a lot of messaging from our culture. Social media is part of your culture. Um, Growing up in a culture that explicitly tells men what kind of man they should be, tells women what they should look like, what kind of woman they should be. We're all being sold a bag of goods, right? Around sexuality, around values. But they're not your values, they're your culture's values. And as Terence McKenna said, your culture is not your friend. And what he meant by that is it's not aligned with your values. Your culture is not aligned. I mean, in some places and cases it might be, but on the whole, it's not. It's not. It's always about, selling you things, pressuring you into things, and it doesn't really know you. I mean, today it kind of thinks it knows you. Like my Amazon account thinks it knows what I want to buy next, and Netflix thinks it knows what I want to watch next, but they're usually pretty off. So checklists will tell you about beauty. It'll tell you that you should find a woman that looks like that. You should go for a man that is that. And it's usually about beauty and wealth or salary. And sometimes with younger people, it's about a car or clothing. It's basically image driven, right? It's a checklist. It's about being popular. It's about boosting your image. It's about boosting an image that you have of yourself given to you from your culture or your religion or your family or your peers, and it might not be yours. That's the dangerous part. And now we swing over to the check-in. So when you're thinking about being with a person and you really want to understand better who you become with that person, this is one of the best questions you can ask. Instead of, how tall, dark, and handsome is he? Or what are her measurements? Um, what color hair does she have? Like, how much does she weigh? How much does he make? What kind of car does he drive? Instead of asking those external, surface, culturally image-based driven questions, how popular is he? How popular is she? Ask the question, who do I become with this person? Right? Are they aligned with my values? Am I the best version of myself with this person? Do I feel bigger when I'm with this person? Do I feel warmer when I'm with this person? And sink into it over time. Don't make a snappy decision, right? Sink into it and ask yourself, who am I becoming with this person? And is that version of myself the one that I want? Right? Because if you sign up for a relationship and you commit to a relationship based on the checklist, you may commit, you may even get married, you may even have kids and have a house and a dog, but you may have gotten yourself into a relationship based on a checklist and not the check-in. And that doesn't mean it's a mistake. It just means it might not be aligned and allowing you to reach your full potential with that person, right? So if you have kids and they're into dating now, you can share this with them about checking in instead of a checklist. And if you're inside of a relationship and you want to think back about what forces were driving me to pick this person, or if you're single and you're just outside of a relationship, go over your values and go over who do I want to become when I'm with someone, and then reverse engineer it and say, well, what kind of person would allow me to become that version of myself? And then go look for that person and hold it in your heart, hold it in your mind, and then you can attract that kind of person instead of getting your cues, right, from your culture and buying certain clothes or saying certain things or reading certain books on, strategies on how to get a person. Figure out how to be yourself, the one that you want to be, and then start attracting that kind of person. Because you don't need to attract everyone. You only need to attract like your tribe, like your kind of people to you. And they'll come. They will come. Right? So if you want to know more about how I work, you can check me out at breakthroughcouples.com, or you can subscribe below for more videos like this one.